So, something slightly different this time. I thought I would try putting some lighting in my coaches. I thought that would look rather nice, and on a dark, cold winter evening, to have some trains running around with lights on, could be rather good. So I got some kits from that well-known online auction house. And I must admit, they looked pretty good actually, and not too bad when they came. So what's in the packet? Well, there's a LED strip. Nice, it's on a black background, so it doesn't not too obvious. It's got a nice little rectifier unit and resistor and a capacitor, so that it keeps the lights on for a little while. So if you go over gaps in the track or the contact's not lost, it's got a couple of little rail contacts, a bit of copper strip. So I thought, never done this before, but how difficult can it be? So I followed the instructions, and it was actually quite easy to, once I'd opened up the coach, to fit the lights inside, and I'll show you what that looks like in a few moments. I'm going to take it to bits again for reasons that will become clear. The challenging bit was how to get the pickups on, and I have put the pickups around the axle. What I haven't done is to put some conductive paint on, which I need to do next to see if it'll work. However, got a slight more serious problem in that trying to get the wires through has actually made the bogie quite stiff, and if I put it onto the track, and we'll just re-angle you so we can see it. There you go, and push it gently up towards the corner. When it gets to the corner here, the bogie just lifts off because it's too stiff, and so hence it derails itself. So need to do something about that. And basically I think it's where the wires come through from the coach body into the bogie. Just makes it a little bit too stiff. Probably just also the bogie is not sitting quite as flat as it should. The whole thing is a problem. So I've got to have a look into what to do about it. And at the moment I'm not quite sure what I am going to do about it. One thing I could do is to open up these holes where the wires come through into the bogie to give a bit more room, a bit more flexibility. I think that's probably the first thing to try, and then we will, if not, I have actually got, if I can find where I put them, had them here not long ago. I've got some DCC pickups, which might be a better pickup, and then I might put some very fine wire through, much more flexible. Might actually even use this contact wire because it is pretty thin and soft to go through and shorten up the coach. So with soldering iron up to temperature, just going to hopefully just melt the solder. Don't want to get it too hot. Don't want to melt the plastic underneath. So that's one wire off. Yep, 2 wires loose. So one option, as I say, is to look at just opening up. At the moment I've drawn a couple of holes through, there's a couple of holes through into the body, but I think that's actually what's binding. So I think one answer may be to make that into a slot both in the coach body and in the bogie. So we'll take the bogie off, move the pivot screw, put it safe, and that's our bogie off. And I think that probably making this into a slot and similarly on the body may actually be enough, although the wire does feel quite stiff. I think that may be part of the problem, is the wire is quite stiff, and so I think we'll strip the body out. You notice how sometimes you have those sort of little jobs that you think, oh, this will be a really nice little job, just, you know, pop those on, get that feature done, and it'll make such a big improvement. Well, as we discovered, it's not always that simple. Just take the other bogie off from the other end. I don't know, I'm not criticising the seller of the kits, because actually the kit is a nicely made little unit, and of course every coach is going to be different, so all the fittings and everything are going to be different for them, so you can understand why perhaps doesn't go as easily as one might hope. So just take out the 3 screws that hold the body on. 1, 2, come on, there you come, and 3, and then of course we have the pipes on the end which have to come out. The ends are going to come off, and one on the other end. Let's get the nail in underneath, come on. Okay, don't come out. Off the top, right. And then hopefully you should be able to get the body off. As I say, the actual unit fits in quite nicely, and I don't know whether you can see it in there, but in the vestibule area the whole of the little capacitor unit just drops in neatly, and that was quite easy to get in, and then the wires coming through, and yep, probably just need to do a little bit more work on getting them through this underfloor area. Get that the other way around, so they come through a bit freer, so they can also then be a bit freer in there. I think I will try with using these wires, although I am sort of worried that they are too stiff. So yeah, I'm rambling, you probably noticed that. It's going to be a little bit of trial and error, see what happens. So what I've done is I've opened up some slots which hopefully make those wires a little bit smoother. I'm just going to put them through the bogie and we'll just see whether that's going to turn better. I think we might need to just, it does feel a bit freer. Okay, I think I will though open up the holes in here a little bit, make them a little bit slotty, slotty, is that a word? I don't know. Make those into little bit of slots as well, and then we'll just try it. I'll just tack the wires back on with the soldering iron, and then just see whether it will go round the curves okay, or whether we're still going to have problems. So starting to reassemble, and of course you've got these sort of dynamic couplings on the Bachmann coaches, which also getting in the way of where the wires want to go. But let's just try poking the wires through. Not disturbing too much. Okay. So I'm just going to put one screw back in the middle to hold the coach together. I'll leave the end screws out for the time being. So I have a feeling I'm going to be taking it apart again. So let's put the bogey screw in. Put the other bogey on. One thing, you do get quite good at dismantling and reassembling these things after a while. So I'm not sure if that's good or not, but there we go. That's that on. That on top. Soldering iron just heat up for a moment. We'll just put these ones on. That does feel quite a lot more flexible, a bit more rock to it. So might get there. So soldering iron up to temperature. Just really trying to just secure this wire so that it doesn't actually catch on anything, and just that pickup wire. I'm not expecting the pickups to work because I haven't put any conductive paint on, but this is just really just to hold that little wire out of the way. Oh, that's that one. This one. Of course, you're also struggling not to melt the plastic too much, not to burn your fingers too much either. It's quite a game, really. That's that wire. What? Fiddle, fiddle, fiddle. There you go, try that. Wire a little bit. Should do it right. So now to see how it runs. As I say, it does actually run. It when the lights work, they look really good. It's just will it run? That actually seems to be free enough. Well, hey, we may be onto a rock and roll bit. So I think the next thing then is to put some conductive paint on and see whether that will make it work better. So, bogey refitted. and seems to be reasonably loose. Screws all in, but even with some conductive paint I'm still not getting a good contact, so I think I might be looking at installing one of the DCC pickups instead, see if that, because it just doesn't seem to be giving a decent contact with the spring and the paint. I've tried it with a meter. I'm not actually getting a good contact between the wheel and the axle at all. Gosh, this is hard work, isn't it? Anyway, so I'm going to have a look at fitting one of these pickups. So soldering iron up to heat. Get the wires off. You'll see that the I think actually the problem was possibly the conductive paint hadn't dried. It's all over my fingers, so that perhaps was why it wasn't working very well. Okay, so that's that. So I think it's going to be a bit of a clean-up job. Yuck. Yeah, I think we're going to have to do a little bit of cleaning of the back of these wheels. Okay, there we go, next job. So with DCC contact fitted, a little bit worried. I think I might just need to grind the bottom of that screw off just to stop it catching on the link below. So do that first. So that's the point of the screw filed down, the wires fed through. So now it's a matter of soldering them on, and then we'll see how we get on. So which one should we try first? One fixed. And appears to be on. Move the wires around a bit to move the wires just to give it a little play. Fold those down a bit so they won't catch. We'll put the screw in. I think I need smaller fingers really. Come on, get in there. Feels okay. So now I need to put it on the track and see what happens. So we now have one set of lights working, but just need to a bit. I think that just depends on how well the wheels are contacting onto the rails. Might just need to do a bit of rail cleaning as well. That's where it was. So come on. There we go. That's a good bit. Oh dear. Dim, dim, dim. Okay, so we're not got it perfect, but Never mind, we have at least got some lights working, and we'll now see whether the coach will go around the track without derailing with the mods. Otherwise we may need to use some of that very thin wire. So here we are back looking at the problems of getting this coach lighting to work, and I don't know whether you can see, but I've put a pickup on this bogie, and I still think the two wires that go through to the rectifier and capacitor are too stiff and are restricting the freedom of that bogie to turn, which is much stiffer than the other one. So what I'm going to do is unsolder the two wires, take the bogies off, take the coach body out, which will also then allow you to see how the light unit was fitted, which actually was very good. And I'm then going to replace these wires with some much thinner wires, which hopefully will not restrict the movement of the bogie so much. So that's what I'm going to do now. So dismantling time. There we go, so that's the bottom of the coach off. So we can now open it up. We have the weight and we have the seating area, which, if I prise that out gently, there we go. Now it's, hopefully you can see, comes with a very nice little rectifier capacitor unit, and then the actual LEDs stick into the top of the coach. So that's actually really nice. The problem is that these wires are quite stiff. They're quite thin. I guess they're 702, something like that, but they're actually quite stiff. So all I'm going to do is replace those with some much thinner wires, which hopefully will mean that we get less resistance on the bogie movement. So that's what I'm going to do next. Be back with you soon. Yes, well, that wasn't too much of a success. The lights are actually working, but the bogie is still a bit stiff, and in fact, looking really carefully, the pickups are actually putting so much friction on the axle at the back here that the wheels aren't actually turning, and I think that's partly the reason. So plan C, D, E, gosh knows where we are, but a new plan is needed.